Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Victors Podcast. I'm Jeremy Brown. So there's been some speculation that going into this Saturday Minnesota night game that it's going to snow, and I think that's a huge dub for Michigan because Joe Milton has only played a few games these past few seasons, and when we have seen him, he's thrown 2 interceptions. And although he has a huge arm, and although Harbaugh said he has improved his accuracy, I can't trust this guy completely going into this game against a huge ranked team that just won 11 games last year. And considering we only beat one ranked team on the road under Harbaugh, and you've seen how bad they've struggled on the road against ranked teams, I don't know if the best thing is to start off with a quarterback who's only played a few snaps. So if it snows and if it's a big snow game, I think that's huge for Michigan's running back room. I already thought they'd get a bunch of snaps this game, but I think they'll get way more than actually thought of. I think usually they probably would give 40 run plays or 50 run plays. I think they'll at least give 60, 70. And we can have Chris Evans with the sweeps. We can add Giles Jackson with the sweeps, even though he's in the slot. We can have Haskins and Charbonnet basically just run down their defensive tackles, just run straight up the gut. I've gone over the defensive tackles. They're not very strong. They're not a big unit on the line. And overall, defensively, they lost, I think, 4 players to the draft last year. They had Antoine Winfield Jr., which I think was one of the best safeties in the country. He left for the draft. He got drafted. And then they lost 2 starting linebackers and then a starting corner. So defensively as a unit, they're not as strong as last year. And overall, last year, they were only ranked 37th in the country. That's 12 spots behind Michigan. And Michigan did wreck some teams last year, but they gave up some big points in big games. So overall, I think our running back room really benefits from the snow game. If it does happen, it might have just end up being cold, and I don't know. I don't know if that's good for Joe Milton anyways. And on a side note, I just learned that Journey Brown, Penn State's starting running back, is going to be out for the season with a heart condition, and I think that's terrible, and I hope he gets better, and I hope he's able to play, but I don't think so. And now, looking at it, you have to reevaluate Penn State's entire team, because Micah Parsons opted out, and like I've said before, I think middle linebacker is one of the biggest positions in the country on the defense. I think it's such a leader on the defense, and he was such a total unit. I think he elevated their defense so much, and plus their starting running back being out, and he was supposed to have a huge breakout year. I think their offense is severely weakened, and so their defense, and overall as a team. And Penn State's probably still a Big Ten contender, but I don't know. I wouldn't pick them this year, especially with what's happened to their team. And especially since they're traveling to Michigan, I don't know. I just wouldn't count them as a Big Ten contender. I think the only Big Ten contender right now is just Ohio State. Ohio State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, I'd say. But if Michigan comes in and beats Minnesota, then I'd say just Michigan, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. And even Wisconsin adding them in there is kind of iffy because obviously Jack Cohn got hurt. They're not as strong as last year. They don't really have this huge rebound running back they can lean on. And overall as a unit, they're not as strong as last year. Same with Ohio State. Same with Penn State. But I think Michigan has a chance if they come out beat Minnesota. And if Penn State isn't as good as thought, then I think they have a chance to be a contender for the Big Ten. But that's all speculation. You have to go through the season and watch. Like I said in the last video, you can't just rely on coming into the season if they're going to be a Big Ten contender, because I don't think any year they're going to be a Big Ten contender unless they've shown it last year or after a few games I can watch them. So that's it. This is the Victors Podcast. As always, go Blue.